In this lesson, we're going to introduce ethics, our key area of study for Christianity, which is bioethics. Last year, we looked at the key principal ethical teachings in Christianity and the source of where those key ethical teachings come from, which is the Bible. And we see the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments, the Beatitudes, and Jesus' commandment of love, both of these from the New Testament. Last year we were also asked to describe the importance of these ethical teachings in the life of adherents. Our area of choice for our HSC study of Christian ethics is bioethics, and the dot point asks us to describe and explain Christian ethical teachings on bioethics. These verbs that markers are going to use in your HSC SOR exam that are going to determine whether or not you're actually answering the question. But it is a little bit more complicated than that because there are HSC outcomes that are straight from the syllabus. Outcome number 2 uses verbs such as describe and analyze, and the word influence is highlighted as well, because what you're being asked is, how does the religious belief system influence or modify or change the choices and behaviour of an adherent in their moral decision making? The next outcome, you're being asked to evaluate the influence of the religious tradition in the life of the adherent. So this word influence again, how does the adherent put the religious moral guidelines into practice? And you're asked to evaluate, which means you need to be able to make a judgment based on criteria. So those first two outcomes both have the word influence in them. So we're looking at how a person's beliefs, attitudes, and behaviours are changed by belonging to a religious tradition. The next outcome refers to the technical language or appropriate terminology that relates to this study of Christianity and bioethics. And finally, the last outcome is outcome 9, that requires you to coherently and effectively communicate not simple but complex information, ideas and issues using appropriate written, oral and graphic form. And that means that you are using a well-structured and in-depth essay response to the given HSC question. You need to have a good definition of ethics. A simple definition here is the reasoning behind or justification for human moral behaviour, the set of beliefs that are behind a code of behaviour, and those set of beliefs explain why something is right or something is wrong. So key to delving into ethics is this why question. Why is abortion wrong? Why is charity a good thing to do? Why does the church oppose euthanasia? Once you start delving into the why, you're starting to branch into ethics. And so now that we've looked at a broad definition of ethics, we now narrow our focus to bioethics. So a definition, the school of thought and reason dealing with the moral implications of medical research and medical procedures, sometimes referred to as life ethics. This field deals with what it means to be human and how science impacts on our humanness. You can see that this area of ethics, bioethics, is closely linked to technology. And quite often advances in technology throws up new dilemmas. How far can we allow science into deciding what enables the beginning of life, or what allows life to be prolonged, and what allows for the ending of life? Just because science allows us to do something doesn't mean we should do that. The second part of this is really important because religion is concerned with humanness, and what is it about our humanness that makes us close to God? And life ethics is concerned with things like, when does human life begin? when does human life end, and by what means and in what situations is it okay to prolong human life? These questions relate to our preliminary studies in SOR on the nature of religion, such as what is the purpose of suffering? Is it okay to interfere with natural law? And all of those sort of questions come out of our study of life ethics and what it means to be human